Well.
Oh my God, it's happening.
Hi, Cammy.
Hi, Emily.
How are you today?
I'm just okay, unfortunately, but it's okay.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm electric.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
excited to be here.
Me too.
This is a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we tell them the name of the pod and why we decided to call it what we're calling it?
Yes. Yeah. So this is This a Date pod?
Sure is. I can't even remember when we started thinking about this. It might have been 2020.
Yeah, it was a long while ago.
And now it's 2025. Is it the first Monday of 2025? Yeah, it's January 6th. Oh. So so anyway,
So this is This a Date podcast?
because a lot of people think we are dating,
Yes.
which is not entirely true.
Mm-mm.
We're besties, and we are dating in that we intentionally spend time together.
Yes, we are definitely platonic soulmates. We are in love. We're just not like dating.
Yeah. So we're platonically dating.
Yes.
So this is a date.
Yes.
I think we can establish this is the date. And we're going to have guests on later, and we will ask them this question.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what they say.
Yeah. We will find out if it is a date, I hope, over the course of several episodes.
Right.
That's the question we seek to answer with this podcast. Like, you know, when you're in school and it's like, when you have an essay, you got to have a thesis question that you're seeking to answer. This is our thesis of the pod. Is this a date?
Because sometimes it's hard to know.
It's very hard to know most of the time.
Yeah, have you been on a date that you didn't know was a date? Or have you been on what you thought was a date that was not a date? I don't know if you want to expose this information.
I feel like more so the former. I feel like more so the former. Like especially with my current girlfriend Cassie, or Caspian Radar, who does so much photography, but we're very privileged to have her as our like band photographer. But like our first date, it wasn't explicitly called a date, but then I found out later it was definitely a date. So
Juicy.
yeah, it was juicy.
Most dates I've been on have been, is this a date? You know?
Yeah.
It's the thesis question, and that's what we're here. That's the truth that we are seeking today.
I've never recorded a podcast before. That's what's also exciting about this for
Right.
me is like I've done so much production work, but I've never forayed into the world of podcasts, which is actually a bit funny because like I would say out of everything I have done, podcasts actually have like a fairly low barrier to entry.
Right.
Like they're not like I'm really, you know, a big believer in like if you want to start a podcast, start one. Like I mean, there are podcasts that I enjoy where sometimes it's like the video is just straight into someone's computer or phone, and I still like it. So
this is my if you're watching the video, you are seeing us through the webcam of my turning 10 years old this year MacBook Air. So, you know, it's a privilege. It's a blessing. Hey, divas. It's Emily, editing mode. Turns out my 10-year-old MacBook Air corrupted the video file. So, no video this time, but next time, hopefully we'll find something else. Love you, bye! And yeah, we have all the stuff already. I feel like people who are watching this probably already know kind of who we are.
Yeah.
But if you don't, we are musicians.
yes.
We are in a band called Emily the Band. Hey, Delilah. Right. And I've always said that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're musicians. And we had all this stuff. So why not put it into action? That's Delilah. That was Delilah's tale on the room mic.
baby.
She is going to be a recurring character. She is the baby.
Yes.
She's very vocal right now. Girl, come on.
She's 14 years old. We have a lot of people that come stay. When we're playing shows in Peoria, we love to host people, and they're always very surprised that she's 14 because she's very sprightly. Last time I took her to the vet, they were like, we would believe you if you told us this cat was 8, which makes me very happy. But she gets cranky when we do things.
Yeah. Oh my God, girl. Yeah, she's really not going to like it later. We're starting tour rehearsals today as well. So she's really not going to like that.
No, not at all.
Mama's got to bring home the bacon.
Yeah, I know that. I get so mad at her, like, not actually, but I get so annoyed with her because I'm like, you are a little expensive. She's a little expensive. She has to have special food. You know this. Our viewers might not, but she has to have special food because she gets rashes otherwise. Right. And it's expensive. So I'm always like, what do you want me to do? We have to rehearse so I can get money to buy your special anti-rash cat food.
She's a little baby. She's great. But yeah, she's she's the diva.
She's diva.
And I think she's earned the right to be.
Yes. Yeah. As Kesha said in her new single, Joyride, I've earned the right to be like this. And I feel like that's how I feel about Delilah. She can do literally anything. As long as it's not dangerous to her, I will let her do it because she's so old.
Oh, well, yeehaw.
Wow.
Should we jump into the new year first or our lore first?
I think our lore first.
Okay, I agree.
I think just like a lore overview for anybody who is not as familiar.
Right. Because next year it'll be 10 years since we met.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
That is really
we should have a party.
I agree.
Friendship anniversary party.
I agree. It'll be so it'll be 10 years since we like met, but we became friends, like properly friends, a little bit later. So we officially met. I had gone with some mutual friends to see Cammy in a production of Seussical the Musical Junior, where you were playing who?
The Cat in the Hat, of course.
Oh, the things you can think. Oh, the things you can think if you're willing to try.
Oh, the things you can think.
So, we're theater kids. Cammy is like a certified theater kid. I was a stage crew person. I was not part of this production. I just came to see it with some friends. Okay. And I was like, wow, that Cat in the Hat really slayed. And then a few months later, we were at this, like a YMCA camp, like a religious sleepover camp. We are not religious people.
Yeah, I was just about to mention it was a Christian camp. We are not affiliated with Christianity. So it was a bit interesting that we both were there. We were both having a very fringe experience at this Christian camp.
Yeah, I had been going. I think like my sister's friend went, and then she started going, and then I started going. It was a fun time. It wasn't all like Bible study, but there were definitely undertones. Mostly it was chill in my experience. We'll have to do a camp episode, I feel like. But Cammy was just having a weird ass week.
Oh, I hated it. It was like the only thing I remember, like only sleepaway thing I remember going to as a kid where I was like, get me out of here. Like my parents still like sort of joke about, they're like, we have never seen you so happy to be picked up from somewhere as you were after that week of camp. It was just not for me. Right. It was not for me.
It was also 4 hours away from here.
Yes.
And we just both ended up there. I don't know why so many people from Peoria go there, but we did.
Yeah. One of my dear sweet friends recommended that I go with him. And hey, friend, you know who you are if you're listening. I super appreciate you. You were the only thing that salvaged that experience, you and Emily and all the other nice people there, but it was just not for me. But I still love you, though, for inviting me.
It was a weird little place, and there was one day I believe we were supposed to be writing letters to God.
Yes.
And instead of doing that, I had written about reuniting with my camp crush, who was a counselor, who did the bare minimum of not giving me the time of day. Thank him, that Kiwi man. God bless you. So I had just written about like, today I saw the Kiwi and it was so cool. I gave him a hug. I missed him so much. And then what did you write?
I think I had written like poetry. I think I had written poetry about how awkward I felt being like pretty much like the bunk atheist, the bunk agnostic there. It made me feel very awkward. And I think I wrote what I thought was a really deep poem being like, why is there like pressure for me to believe in a higher power? If a God does exist, he is either ignorant to the suffering of the world or intentionally cruel. It was some shit like that. It was so bad.
Wow.
It was so bad.
What I'd give to read these things. However,
And then, so, and we weren't just writing letters to God. This is, this is the like, this is the wild part, is then everybody at the camp was like, all right, guys, it's time to go out into the woods and we're going to burn the letters so they make it to God.
oh, my phones are falling.
So we went to like this fire pit in the middle of the GD woods of the, well,
Of
that
Indiana.
that one's in the Bible, the goddamn woods. And we burnt the letters.
We burned them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting of us that we did that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but before we burned them, we were in this big room and the counselors were like, everybody turn to somebody near you and wait, oh my God, but we have to go back. So sorry, this is so nonlinear. I had seen Cammy at this camp earlier in the week and I just remembered their name, Cammy Proctor. It was just very memorable. And also I'd like seen them on the stage. So I saw them at this summer camp in Indiana and I said, oh my God, Cammy Proctor. And Cammy was like, who is this stranger in Indiana saying my first and last name to me?
Yeah, I didn't really remember Emily from my performance. So I was a little sketched out. I was also just having like one of the worst weeks of my life. So I was like, I think I was just already in like fight or flight a little bit.
Right.
And it freaked me out at first. It scared me.
Yeah. So after I scared Cammy, we then, after writing our not letters to not to God, yeah, we were told to converse with people around us. And I was like, hey, what'd you write about in your letter to God?
And I was like, I actually don't like super believe in God, so I didn't write one. And you know, I was a little nervous that because I didn't know Emily at all at the time. I was a little nervous Emily was going to be like,
you're going to hell.
But
no, I said, oh my God, me neither. I wrote about my crush. And then we had seen each other. I said, oh my God, I don't believe in God. Here we are.
That's how we connected.
It was really beautiful.
Through sacrilege.
Truly. And then, so I was the year above Cammy in school. I had already done my freshman year of high school. I was going into my sophomore year. Cammy was coming into their freshman year. I feel like we reconvened on the speech team.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. Well, you know, the only comment I'll have on that is I did speech team my first 2 years of high school, I think. And I was a dog at it. Oh, man. We said we weren't going to swear too much. We'll have to try
That's
out one
okay.
of our cute little bleeps on that one.
Right.
I was a dog.
They
at
were
it.
really good.
I was so good at it.
I
The
was
only
not.
problem was I hated it so much. I actually really didn't like doing it because my critique of high school speech, of IHSA speech, is just that the competition aspect and the way that's executed and the conventions and rules of the way that's executed stifle creativity.
It's
You
true.
write something that you're passionate about and they just start changing it and changing it and changing it into something that they think will have broad appeal and will make you win. And I hated that because I would write these creative little pieces that I actually enjoyed performing and they would just get manipulated into like what would win and then you get told what to do to win and there was just not really a lot of focus on like the creative side. So after 2 years I quit, but I was a dog. I was like the only sophomore on our team that I think
to make it to state.
to go to state. Yeah, I went
Yeah.
to state my second year. I didn't place. But after that, I was like, I'm out. But
That was cool.
we had so much bonding through that, even though I think it kind of sucked for both of us. We bonded.
It was, I don't think I've ever been so cold.
Yes.
We would have to go on these school bus, big yellow school bus. We'd have to get to the school sometimes at like 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah.
to drive to these tournaments. And it was your whole Saturday, just like in a random high school in Illinois, just running around to different rooms. Also, I was not diagnosed or medicated for my anxiety disorder at this time. So it was terrible. It was horrible. I had a panic attack every single time without realizing it was a panic attack. It was bad.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair too, like it was anxiety inducing for people that
Right.
do not
For the
have,
normals.
for the normies, for the girls that do not have anxiety disorders. It was deeply anxiety inducing. Like you'd be packed into the cafeteria with all these other kids, and it's like they had this thing called like double or triple entered, where you'd be like running. There'd be these different rounds where you'd go and perform, and if you were double or triple entered, really you were performing more than you were kind of like supposed to. So you were this like tiny little kid in like business cash.
Why were we wearing business casual?
Yeah, why were we in suits? And you'd be running around to different rooms, just like panicking, hoping you get there on time, having to like walk in the middle of the round, everybody looking at you. Like it was just truly
awful.
It was not an environment in which I think teenagers would thrive. Should ever be. I think I pray for the day speech can become a little more creative and perhaps a little more ethical, because it's like the fun parts of it were fun. It like the rest of the structure around it was not ideal. But I feel like we bonded a lot.
We really did.
The struggle of that.
Shared trauma will really bring people together.
Yes.
And then there was one day in February of 2017 where our teammates were going to state. I certainly wasn't going to state. Cammie, I don't even know if they would have let you as a freshman. Maybe. I don't know. Unless you gave a hefty donation to Anyway, so we were going to support our teammates, and there was a little team brunch, and then a little bit of time, and then you convene at the Peoria Civic Center to make some magic happen. And between brunch and the competition, we were at my parents' house with our friend Ellie. Shout out to ya. And we were in my room, and Cammie was like, "Oh my God, is that a ukulele on your shelf?" I was like, "Yeah, I write songs. Do you want to hear one?" And then I played our song Poison, which at the time was just my song, but now it's ours, because that just kicked off a really beautiful partnership.
And like, I cannot emphasize enough, like truly, I was so blown away. Like truly, I was like, you've been hiding this like raw skill and talent. Oh my, I like truly couldn't believe that this, like with you having written such an amazing song and being such an amazing songwriter and singer and uke player, that was not something I already knew about. And I just like, I don't know, I just truly was like instantly obsessed. And I had been in my basement, in the basement of my parents' house, learning production, doing production, because I was a little a black assigned female at birth teenager, and I didn't see a lot of producers in my community that looked like me. I was very convinced that I couldn't have possibly been doing production. Like I was very much like, no, I'm just like messing around. But I was literally like learning and doing production in my basement, and I was like, I want to collab. I want to come onto the track and add a bunch of stuff to it.
So we did. Yeah, we did a bunch of like covers in high school. There's a thing called Music Assembly where you'd send in an audition tape. A lot of those are on our Patreon. If you want to join our Patreon, it's just Emily the Band. But yeah, you'd enter and then you could sing a little song in front of the school. So we did a mashup of
Way Down We Go.
Way Down We Go and Ain't No Sunshine.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, we slayed on that. And too, like I feel like Music Assembly, it was practically just like a talent show, but without any winners. Like it just was like student talent show pretty much.
Yeah, it was vibes. It was really, most of it was pretty fun, like performing with you. For some reason, the sound people they hired were not equipped to work with children.
Yeah, they were pretty
were mean.
not appropriate to the teens. Like not in like to be very clear, not in a predatory way, just like in a, hey, you just definitely shouldn't be saying that to like teenagers who are just big kids with like underdeveloped brains, because like to you it might be an offhand comment, but to them it like might create like a freaking complex that they have to deal with for years.
Right.
Just like they were just freak leaks. But it's like
Yeah.
it's like nothing that we don't run into now. But I was just
Right.
like, why wouldn't you hire a sound person that is like maybe like I don't know, has more experience with like teens
Right.
and just knows to just be normal? Like is it too much to ask?
Apparently,
Is it too much to ask for a sound engineer at the music assembly to be normal?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. But we crushed.
Yeah, we did.
And also, like, between music assemblies, we were hanging out, I feel like, most weekends.
Yeah.
Like, there was always something going on in our friend. Oh, we got to have Drew on the pod.
Oh
I know
my
he's not a
gosh.
public figure, but we need him.
Yeah, we need the lore.
We'd hang out in our friend Drew's basement, like, every weekend.
Yeah.
And we were chilling and we were going to shows. We went and saw Troye Sivan and Kim Petras up in Milwaukee.
I got to meet Kim Petras. That's my like claim to fame of like
Yeah.
somebody you met before they blew up. It was Kim Petras. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I have pics.
It was amazing. It was so fun to watch as well.
Yeah.
Kimmy was so excited.
Yeah, it was so packed in there though. It was
Right.
oh man.
Yeah. I think it was called like the Rave or something. I can't remember. Up in Milwaukee. We made a weekend out of it. And then what was next? We were chillers. Then I went to college. Is that the
Yeah, I feel like that's it's like just know that we hung out like a lot in the
Yeah.
context of this kind of large gay friend group. Literally like at our high school, we were just referred to by other kids as like the gays.
Yeah.
And since Emily was a
great.
year ahead of me, they all graduated, including Emily. And oh man, it was rough for me.
But
It really
before I
was.
left,
Before Emily left.
we recorded Messy,
Yes.
which was the first like professionally recorded music I'd ever done. Cammy did the arrangement, so basically anything that wasn't my vocal or ukulele or like I like wrote the song and then Cammy, you were producing it. Like you and Connor Billard, shout out. Y'all were producing it.
Yeah.
And that was right before I went to school.
Yeah.
So then, by the way, I felt like I was on a rocket ship hurtling towards something that I didn't even know if I wanted it. I was very straight edge in high school. We like did not drink at these, like we were not at drinking parties.
No.
We were playing hide and seek, wrestle tag in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. And like a ton of board games. It was
Yeah.
like the most fun ever.
It was great.
It was the most fun ever. And yeah, we just didn't really do a lot of like typical
It was no
rascally-
debauchery, right.
We were just genuinely such just like
We were gay nerds.
we were gay nerds. It was
was
truly
great.
like just that. And I loved that. I loved that about our friend group so much. I think that's why it was so hard for me when like pretty much everybody either went to college or just went on to just a different path, and it's like I just didn't have this built-in support system.
Yeah. And I was also like having that hard time. Like Drew and my friend Holiday and Taylor, like we were at U of I together and we'd hang out pretty often. But I was in the business school, like in the business honors, la di da, very much like on the straight and narrow. But I always wanted to do music. And so many times I would be like, oh, Cammy, that's so freaking cool that you're just doing music and not even doing college. That's like crazy. That's so cool. I wish I could do that, but I can't.
And it's important context that like I am like gifted kid to late diagnosed neurodivergent burnout rebel punk like I am that prime. Like that is me. I was really, really good in school without like a lot of effort until I hit about my junior year, and then everything started falling apart. And like once I got into high school, I hated school so much. And I started to do like really, really bad. And I with my senior year, I was not sure if I was going to graduate. Like that's how like on the cusp my grades were. Luckily I did, and I pulled through and stuff. But like I just hated school at that point so much. I resented it so much. And I was just so far in the opposite direction of Emily, where I was just at the point where I just was like all of this, it literally doesn't matter. I don't feel supported. I feel like this is pointless. The adults around me, I would tell the adults around me, like the authorities around me, like I'm going to do music. And they would be like, that's not smart. If you're going to do that, at least go to college. And I was like, I I just don't give one single I was so like beat down and had such hatred for the whole experience of school, especially my senior year, once like so many of my friends had left. Like I did have a couple really good friends that really pulled me through that time, but I was just miserable. And so it's like we were totally on opposite ends of that experience.
Right.
Like Emily was just coming from a very different place, and I was so stubbornly like, I'll do what I want. I just cannot care anymore. I can't.
It was a very beautiful balance. I
Yeah.
feel like, a lot of times in our lives we'll kind of be balancing each other out in
Yeah.
a very important way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was so convinced that I had to be doing college, and then the pandemic hit. I came home. At first, I was like gonna go back in the fall, and then I had this moment of realization in a park with Cammy during our friend Sarah's show. Would you mind doing that
Yeah, I
again?
got it.
I mean, let me grab my mouse from my backpack so I can just do it remotely.
Oh, cool. Do you want me to keep telling the story while you do that?
Yeah.
We were at a show, a lovely outdoor show, with one of our dearest friends and absolute freaking matriarch and just absolute leader and pillar of the Peoria, Illinois music community, Miss Sarah Mooberry of Sarah and the Underground.
Sarah Marie Dillard professionally.
Sarah Marie Dillard professionally. Sarah Mooberry to the girls, I suppose. But one of our favorites, one of the best human beings ever to grace this earth. And we were just enjoying the show. And then after, it was during the time of like early onset COVID, where like outdoor stuff with mask was still, it was like, okay, I think this is like okay as long as we're outside spread out and all have like masks on kind of thing. And we had nothing to do. I had graduated into 2020, so my senior year had like stopped. And I don't hate to say it, but I hate to say it. I was relieved because I hated school so much, and I literally I was so unwell that I genuinely was having these, and I mean delusions. I was genuinely having these delusions where I was like, I wanted school to stop so bad that I willed this to happen. And that's not to say I enjoyed it. That's not to say I enjoyed it, but I was very relieved.
You're just responsible for it.
I was very relieved to be out of school, but I, of course, deeply distressed by the state of the world. And so we just had like nothing to do. And so, we just, after the show, we're just like strolling around the park with all to do.
Yeah, and I went on another one of my, oh, Cammy, that's so freaking cool. You're just doing music. Like, I can't believe that's so cool. And Cammy said,
This had happened many times too. I want to give the context. This is something that had repeatedly come up.
it was excessive.
And I was at this place where I was like, I don't know if it's my place to like comment on that because it's Emily's life and it's Emily's emotions. And even if I have an inkling that there's something going on, it's not 100% my place. But it had happened so many times that I was like, hey, so we don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but I've noticed you've said things like that to me a lot. Is going back to school and doing all that what you like really want? Like it was something along the lines of like inviting, like, is that what you truly want? And poor Emily.
I'd never considered the possibility. I never thought it was even a fraction of a possibility for me to not do college. So it was one of those moments where I felt like I was in the spinning hallway in High School Musical. Zac Efron, just crawling around, writhing around. This world was spinning. And I was just like, oh my God, that is an option available to me due to the fact that I'm an adult and I don't know, can do what I want. So I decided to take a semester off of school to do music, just to really go hard on music. And then the semester was coming to a close. I was like, oh my God, I'll do one more. And then I just didn't go back. So on paper, on my transcript, like credits wise, also like honor kid, gifted kid, la-di-da. So I had a lot of credits from high school, like dual credit kind of things. On paper, I'm a junior with a 4.0, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I can't think of something specifically I could only get from going to college, like a specific skill that I need to do my job that we're already doing. So I'm just not going back right now. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll like change my mind, but for now I'm just not doing it. And at the time, I mean, I was 18/19, which is very young, and we're still very young, but so many adults in my life were acting like I was out of my mind, like I was throwing something away. It was a lot. But I had Cammie and I had Sarah Marie Dillard being like, "You are good at this music thing. Why not try?" And I was like, "Oh, you're so right, Diva."
And also, too, I feel like necessary context is like you were also watching the ways in which your school specifically, but schools around the nation were just treating students like absolute garbage during the pandemic and charging them obscene amounts of money to go have like not even half of the experience that you are owed when you pay that amount of money. And just watching them just like be terrible to everyone and kind of having that realization of like, I don't have to go back now. Like, that's the other thing, too, is like, you know, if you literally had a change of heart tomorrow and we're like, you know what? No, I want to go back and pick up where I left off. You can at literally any age. Like, for context, I'm 23 and Em's 24 now.
No.
What?
I'm 23, girl.
You're 23?
I'll be 24 in March.
It'll be 24 in March. I keep forgetting. In my head, I think because we went to high school together and you're always a year older than me, you're like always a year older than me. And I forget that we're like the same age for 6 months. So we're both 23 now. Sorry. High school brain kicked in. But like, it's like literally you can go back and repick that up at literally any time over the course of the rest of your life. But yeah, definitely authority figures in our lives were definitely making it feel like decisions, like if we didn't make certain decisions right then, it was gonna like ruin our lives. And you know what? If you're a teenager and you're listening to this, let me be the one to tell you, I know it feels that way. I know it feels really intense and really horrible. And like, if you don't make the right decisions right now, it will like somehow mess up the rest of your life. I'm telling you right now, it is not like that. And I'm sorry that so many people in your life have made you feel that pressure, but just know you are good. Take your time, wait on decisions if you need to, and don't feel like you will feel pressured, but know that even if you feel pressured, that a lot of that pressure is perceived, but it's not real.
Right.
And that you have all the time in the world to pursue the things you want. And if you're not sure about college or some other big step or moving or something of that big magnitude, you literally can always wait and do it later. Literally always.
Yeah, that was a very beautiful lesson to learn. And it was interesting, like, I had my whole, I'm not a student now, who am I when I'm not a student kind of identity crisis at 19. And then a lot of my friends continued with college, and then they had that at 22. And I've had so many people, and by so many, I mean like 3 or 4, from that business honors cohort that I keep in touch with. They were like, you were so smart to drop out. Like, this is horrible. I think it's so cool you're doing what you want. And I really appreciate that. I really do. Because I had a lot of adults being like, you're cray. And you know, they're right. But also I'm not, I don't know, in the mental hospital as I would be if I had stayed on that path.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you know, if I ever need to go to the mental hospital, I'll go.
Yeah.
But I don't need to right now because I made choices that don't make me want to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. And too, it's like, I feel like also having these large scale realizations about yourself and what you want is a pretty common thing that happened to a lot of people, regardless of age, during like early onset COVID, because I do feel like so many people, not all, but a lot of people were put in, especially students, were literally sent away from everything and kind of shown in such a tangible way that like every single thing that we do is like a choice that we can return back to or not return back to or change. Right. Like, and that was the thing that also sealed the deal for me. Cause I still was kind of like, before my senior year abruptly ended, I still was kind of in the boat of like, maybe I can just go to music college and like, that'll kind of be the more safe option for me, but I can still pursue music. But like, it's just like seeing everything crumble around you. Like, I was only 18. Like, I think it just really fundamentally made me be like, wait, everything around me is constructed. I don't have to do that if I don't want to.
Right.
And I'm really glad that I didn't go straight into college as well, because I also think that I think I would have enjoyed music school in many ways, but like I'm actually really glad that like if I ever do decide to go to music school now, I can go as like an adult who actually knows themselves and who actually has like
Experience in the field.
Experience in the field, but also experience taking care of myself. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely would have been one of those college students that just like was like ill because I didn't know how to like cook meals and manage that for myself, or like how to take care of my physical and mental health properly. I had a very active but undiagnosed physical disability that I just thought, I was like, oh, everybody feels like complete all the time and like really struggles to physically do things. I had undiagnosed ADHD. It was gonna be a freaking nightmare.
Right.
It was gonna be a nightmare. So I'm like really glad that I also just was like, my thing with my, I told my parents, I'm extremely privileged. I'm sure my parents are listening right now. I'm extremely privileged to have parents who are extremely supportive of me and my music.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were rightfully like kind of freaked out by the choices I wanted to make, because they just wanted what was best for me, and that was manifesting as them kind of discouraging me from not going to college. And I totally get that now. But like oh God, where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? College.
Thankful you didn't go.
Thankful. Oh yeah, that was the thing that I also told my parents, was like, I'll just take a gap year, and then that turned into me just going straight into work when it was safe and feasible to start gigging. Once like vaccines and stuff started to roll out, and yeah.
So yeah, we spent like a good chunk of 2020 making the Living Room EP, which was 6 songs. 3 were kind of older, like Poison was on there. I wrote that when I was 15. And then it was 3 that I had written like early 2020, and then Boyfriend. Anyway, 6 tracks. It was really sick. I listened to it a few months ago, and I was like, wow, we were wild.
We kind of popped off. We kind of did pop off. I fear. But yeah, sick. It was awesome. It was really fun working on that together. I think it gave us like a real sense of like purpose and drive during a time when everything felt so like out of control.
Right.
Yeah,
and then April 2021, we had a release show for that EP in my parents' backyard. And a few months prior, we asked Abbey, who was Cammy's drummer in another band, if she would hop on just for like a one-off show. And then we were like, wait, love you, stay forever.
Yeah.
And then we became Emily the Band shortly thereafter.
Yeah, and we decided to change, our name, because at the time, Emily's music was just under Emily, all lowercase, and not only was that just like a branding issue, but we also just were like, if we're going to be Emily the Band, like I feel like our sound is going to move in a different direction too, and so we just decided to like really go for it, and yeah, I mean, I think that was a great decision.
Right.
Though it would have been cool to see the path where like me and you just kept making like this like alty like electronic-y pop.
Right.
Emily the Band, like that would have been an interesting path. But I'm just so grateful to like have Abbey though as a part of things, because like she truly was the missing piece.
I agree. Yeah. She'll probably pop in near the end of the ep.
Yeah.
Because we've got tour rehearsal. We'll drop tour deets when we have them solidified. World tour. But yeah, so now we have a full length record under our belts. We're wrapping up an EP that we're putting out with a record label, which is wild to say. And also like non-career wise, we've just, we've continued to hang and be bestie boots. And it's really fun. Like, I don't know how people are in bands with people who are not their bestie boots, because you just end up hanging out so much.
Yeah.
And that's really fun when there's so much downtime. Like if we have to travel for a gig, like the car ride is always like hee hee ha ha, truth or dare.
Yeah.
Listen to Kesha and Pitbull. And then we have so many sleepovers after shows. But also we've been making a point to make like non-business friend time, which has been really great.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm trying to bring more intentionally into 2025. Because it's like, and two, just to speak for myself, I have historically been a little bit of a notorious hermit. It is hard for me to go out. I just don't love it. I just don't love it. I also don't drink, so it's kind of hard for me to be in a lot of traditional kind of hang spaces for young adults. Like I like hate most bars if there's not some sort of activity. Like we went to like a barcade, and that was lit because we got to get our little Shirley Temples and just play a bunch of games. But if it's
so
just
fun.
like a bar where the activity is drinking, I'm not gonna have a good time. Like
Yeah.
that, it's just not fun for me. And so, but like that's something I've been trying to bring into 2025 is trying to get away from this place I was at where it was like I was really only seeing friends through work, and I think that was making me sad on a lot of levels. And so we're just trying to spend some designated just friend time. And we had a really fun like holiday hang. It was really awesome. We like went ice skating and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to keep doing like stuff like that.
I agree.
Into the new year.
We'll do it. I'm excited, like, for throughout the pod when we're, I don't know, just chatting with people, and we just have so many stories to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, I feel like one time Abbey, she was like, I love your high school stories. They were so crazy. Because there were just a lot of really silly things that happened way back when. And also just into our adult lives as well. Being musicians who travel on the road, we meet some eccentric characters. And yeah, so that'll be super fun to tell.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you feel like that's good for like the lore roundup?
I think that's a good Cliff Notes, yeah. Spark Notes.
We'll get into it more in the future.
Of course.
Definitely.
Of course. How long have we been going? Oh my God, we've been going for 46 minutes, y'all.
Do you want to go just a little bit more?
Oh,
Or-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like one thing I was kind of thinking that I wanted to bring up in pilot episode is it's a new year. It's 2025. And I kind of wanted to like talk about that. I kind of wanted to talk about the new year, if you have any kind of goals or resolutions. Also, I love doing a recap of like 2024, like best moments or just moments that stuck out, or you know, if you want to like worst moments, I don't know, just like highlights.
Right.
And that can be personal or something that it shares me, but like I just encourage you to just take it in your own direction.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like if Abby's going to be guest number 1, maybe we can do our 2024 recap with Abbey
Yeah.
because we spent so much of it as the 3 of us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in the goals direction.
Oh, nice. So 2025.
Yeah, 2025. I make a vision board every year. And by every year, I mean this is the second year I've done it. And I make it my computer background so I can see it and kind of move towards my goals. I made mine, but it's kind of a first draft. It needs some more pizzazz, but it has 2025 in little silver balloon letters. It's got some cats having a cake at a table.
Aww.
It's cats having a sleepover. It's Chapel Roan reading a book on a picnic blanket because I'd like to read books more. There's this art I found on Pinterest of a hand writing because I'd like to write more, whether that be in my journal or also songs. It's weird having the benchmark of in 2020, I was writing so much and then I spent so much time living life that I didn't have as much time to write about it.
Yeah.
So I want to be more intentional about writing. What else is on there? Oh, I have a picture of Anne Hathaway in The Princess Diaries in her little gown and dress being like, arms up in a Y shape because she's just being a princess. And I just like to bring some of that into this year. And then also on there, I put postcards of where I'd like to go.
Ooh.
I think last year I did like 8 postcards and this year I might have done like 5. I believe the postcards this year are Nashville, Chicago. Oh my gosh. And I can't remember where else. So guess we'll never know. I think it's like places I'd like to visit friends at and otherwise. I think I might have put New York on there as well because I went there for the first time last year and it was so fun. And then I also, I put a picture of in another Cinderella story with Ms. Hilary Duff. She's like, laugh out loud. I put a picture of the LOL text on her flip phone on there because I have become a monster when it comes to replying to texts. It's really bad. At first, I was like, oh my God, this is kind of quirky. And now I'm like, oh, I actually hate that this is happening.
Right.
That I haven't replied to texts in sometimes a week.
Yeah, that's real.
And it's usually when it's like a business text, I'll reply pretty quickly, though I do prefer a business email. Usually that makes it so the friend texts, I see them, I'm like, oh, I'll reply to that later. And then I don't, because I just have so many tasks. So my main resolution this year is to reply to texts within 24 hours. And, you know, so far it's only the 6th and I'm not perfect. I do have some friend texts I need to reply to. But the point is I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
And that's my truth this year.
That's real. That's real. And also too, it's like I totally get you on the replying to text thing. I totally get you on that. It's really hard to find that line between like what is a healthy upholding of your boundaries and then what is like
ignoring the people who care about you.
Yeah. It's really hard to find that line because like I don't know about you. I don't like that feeling. Like I've been trying to kind of get away from my phone a little bit and set some digital limits for myself for the new year. And it's I really don't like that feeling of being constantly on demand. I think it for me, it is just very distressing. So having that boundary of not like expecting myself to reply right away has been really healthy for me. But sometimes, it does go a little too far to where now maybe you're missing opportunities with friends and things because you just are not answering.
I just need a phone. I'm a phone call girl. I know that so many Gen Zs are like afraid of talking on the phone, but I much prefer it to a text because I don't love a catch up over text. It's just like, it's a lot. And yeah. So if you know me and you want to catch up, just give me a call. And if I don't pick up, I'll call you back. That's what I prefer. All right. Well, how about you, Dave?
Well, I have New Year's resolutions. But I want to preface this with I have like some critiques about common resolution culture. At least what I've seen among people here in our area. And also I think just broadly, like especially like online. I have found, especially for myself in the past, that there's a culture around New Year's resolutions of like change that is like so drastic that one, it's kind of unobtainable, and two, it's often not only drastic, but it's also kind of like harsh to the self. Like kind of like new year, new me. I'm going to be better because I'm not good enough now. Kind of undertony things, you know. And it's obviously not like that for everybody, but it's definitely something I've noticed. Like a lot of New Year's resolutions don't seem to be coming from a place of like kindness towards yourself. They come from like almost a place of like strictness and kind of like, I need to change to be better. And then a lot of people end up rightfully abandoning those goals and kind of just feeling ashamed a couple months into the year. And I really don't want that for myself. That's not my kind of thing. But I've really enjoyed last year and this year. I've really enjoyed New Year's resolutions, but I do them my way, where it's like I try to set them to be just big enough so that it feels like it's like, oh, that's something, but it's still grounded enough that I know that I can do it. I know that I can. It's not something that feels so out of reach that it's like, oh my gosh, that's huge. And also, I've tried to make them really like tangible and really specific, and I think that too helps a lot for me, like as somebody like with ADHD, where it's like I'm sure anybody who's watching the pod that has ADHD gets that like goal setting and then executing those goals can be extra challenging for people with ADHD. And for me, I found that just like the more specific I can get, the more pinpoint I can get with a goal, and the more attainable I can make it, the more likely that I'm gonna follow through. Like I need to make it easier for myself and kinder for myself. And so I actually have a list of some of my resolutions that I'll share.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I'm trying to make all my resolutions come from a place not of I want to change, but of a place of like loving like kindness to myself. Okay, I'll share some of them.
Oh my God, prepared for the pod.
I have kind of a lot. This is just, I'm reading off a list that I've just kind of made for myself.
Okay.
So I have some personal ones. One of my personal New Year's resolutions is that I've started a craft club for 2025. The ball's already rolling. We're meeting for the first time this Wednesday. The reason why I've done this is one, I was talking earlier about how I'm notoriously the hermit, and that's something I want to remedy this year, but in a way that is like actually approachable to me.
Bring the party to you.
Bring the party to me. And also it's like, it'll be so much fun because it's like, sometimes I talked about what's hard about being in a bar for me is like not having activity, just sitting there, and then people just look at you. And you're just sitting there and they just look at you. That literally makes me feel like I want to rip my skin off. Like, I don't like being in somewhere without something to do. So it's like all my friends will come over and we have a little activity. And then I'm also hoping one of my other kind of goals is to substitute some of my brain rotting activities for slightly less brain rotting activities.
Yeah.
I think a good brain rot has its time and place. There are definitely days where I just need to rot my brain a bit and like rest fully like that. But sometimes it's like, I'll just divert to brain rotting whenever I need rest, and it makes me feel worse. So I'm hoping by doing the craft club, it'll just get me more in the habit of crafting. And when I have those rest times, when I want to do something a little more constructive than brain rotting, I'll be like, oh, I'll work on my craft so I have something to show my friends next week. And like it'll kind of keep crafting like front of mind for me. We'll have to see how it goes. First one's this Wednesday. It's just supposed to be fun. And another good one I have is to play with my cat Delilah at least once a day. Better get twice a day, because I will admit I got really lax with playing with her once she started to get older, just because she doesn't have as much energy, but it's really good for her. So I'm gonna play with her a lot more this year.
Abbey's
here.
I got it.
Oh my gosh,
This is so exciting.
this is exciting.
You guys, it's a huge moment for us all. Abbey's debut on the pod. Do you want to be our first guest?
Next episode.
Cool. Well, she's technically our second guest right now because Delilah made an appearance earlier.
That's true.
But
Here, Ab, come
she's
sit in the middle. Come sit in the
hang.
middle, and I'll finish talking about my goals.
Okay, cool.
So we were just talking about 2025 resolutions. Abby's here.
Abbey's here. Miss you, girl.
So I was just telling them about craft club, and also how one of my other resolutions is to play with Delilah at least once a day in 2025, because I got really lax with playing with her because she got old. And I was like, she doesn't need to play as much, but that's just not true. So that's one of my other goals. Another 2025 manifestation slash resolution is I want to attend more local shows.
Yeah.
I've found myself in a place, especially like last year, where I didn't attend many local shows because my like social and physical and just mental energy would feel so drained by the shows we were playing already. It was very hard for me to make it out to these. But it's like something where I kind of want to try pushing the limit a little bit more. In the past, something I've dealt with is having these very black or white thoughts about my own self of being like, well, if I go to this show, I'm definitely not going to have a good time. I'm definitely going to get overstimulated and overwhelmed. And like, so I'm definitely going to get social anxiety so bad that I'll just want to leave. But I don't know that. Like, I know myself and I know my limits, but sometimes I think I've thought that to such an extreme that I end up just not going out. And I kind of want to push that a little bit and be like, you know what, let me actually just go to this show. And if I do hate it, I'll just leave. Like, I'll just leave early, and like just trying to kind of coax myself out and flex that muscle of like getting used to being around like people when I don't have a specific task, when I don't have a show to play. Like, so I'm trying to attend more local shows. I actually have a couple coming up at the end of February that I'm really looking forward to locally to support the friends.
Lila is walking like she just murdered something.
Yeah, it's because Abbey came in, and Delilah knows Abbey brings the loud percussive sounds.
I haven't in a while.
Yeah, she's pissed.
She's pissed.
She's pissed. One of my other resolutions is to, I'm very privileged to have a very discounted gym membership to a very nice gym, and I would like to go at least twice a week. I feel like that's going to be a bit of a tough one because I'm actually, it's not too far off from what I'm doing now. I would say probably on average I've been going once to twice a week, but I just want to get really disciplined with myself of going twice. But it's going to be kind of hard because one day a week is my fun day where there's a yoga class that goes straight into like a dance class. And by dance class, I don't mean anything constructive where you're like learning how to dance. I am telling you, they wheel in this big speaker and then the person leading the class, it is like Just Dance Live. Like they just start dancing and you're just supposed to do what they do. And then occasionally, and it's almost always all ladies.
I think it's like kind of like Zumba.
It's kind of like
yassified.
Zumba. And they don't say anything. They don't say like, all right, to the left. It is... they just look at you and start dancing and you're supposed to just start following them. And then occasionally it'll get toward the peak of the song and the instructor will throw her hands up and go, woo! And then everybody goes, woo! and it's like that is fun for me. Like I love yoga and I love dancing, but what's going to be hard is my second day to the gym a week is going to be my like physical therapy that I do because I have POTS, and that's part of my treatment. But what's going to be hard about that is I'm not going to lie.
It's boring.
It's boring. And it makes me feel worse after I've done it. Like that's what sucks about certain exercises when you like have a chronic illness or disability is like it is the exercises I do are targeted to help the specific deficits in my body. So they make me feel like garbage. They make me feel like I'm going to faint. And then the next day I feel like complete garbage. Like I feel weak and terrible and in pain and it just flares everything up. So but it's like it's so important for me to do the exercises because the more I do it, the easier it'll get and like the stronger I'll get. But it's just really hard to stay disciplined when the thing doesn't have a good payoff.
Right.
Like the exercises themselves I find pretty boring and the payoff is that I feel bad. So it's going to be really hard to like stick with that, but it's something I really want to owe for myself and something I'm trying to tell myself is like when you do these exercises, just think of how much they'll help you to do the things you enjoy, like how much they'll help with my stamina on stage or for me to run around and be silly with my friends or like I try to think of not the payoff of the next day, but the payoff of like the way future. But it's really, really hard. So, but that's one thing I do want to do for myself. And then speaking of the gym, I wanted a very tangible goal for the gym. My goal for 2025 is to leg press 100 pounds.
Whoa.
Which it's like that. At first I was like, is that too far off? But I don't think it is because one of the better times that I was doing my weights with my legs with leg press, you like lay down like this and then you go like this. Right. You lift up the weights. One of the better times I was up to like 60. So I don't think it's unreasonable at all for me to get to 100 within the year. So that's my goal. Yeah, those are pretty much my goals. And then we can kind of talk about like band and like music goals next ep.
Yeah, we were thinking about a little 2024 recap next week.
That sounds awesome.
Well, we'll do it.
Yeah.
By next week, we mean in 2 weeks. I believe the schedule will be every other week uploads, allegedly.
Yeah, that's what we would like.
We're just going for it. We've been talking about this podcast for actual years, and we've just been holding ourselves back. So it's going to be what it is.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that's another goal of mine that like literally I just came up with today. Like a low key resolution is just like one thing I tried to embody last year that I feel like really helped me is like I tried to embody this thing where I was like, if there are things that I'm hesitating to do that I know a cisgender man would just do with the audacity that you are kind of given when you are born as a cisgender man, then I'm going to do it. So it's like that led to me doing things like taking my shirt off when we were playing if I got hot, taking my shoes off when we were playing if I got hot, instead of, just kind of taking up space in less apologetic ways, or like if something was obviously freely available, just taking it and also just being like, yeah, this thing I made is good enough. I'm not going to sit here and question it. I obviously deserve to put the things that I made out there, regardless of how good they are. And I feel like that's something I'm trying to embody in this year too, is just like less so having the audacity and more so like something I think I really struggle with is like the follow through. Like it's like I'll come up with so many good ideas, but I struggle with the skill of striking when the iron is hot, of following through. Like I just get so stuck in my head. And so that's something I'm trying to embody this year is like teaching myself how to strike when the iron is hot, teaching myself how to be like, well, I made this thing. And it's not the perfect match of the perfect image of the thing I had in my head, but I'm just going to put it out anyway because I made it. Right. Just kind of embodying, like practicing that because it is a skill. It really is a skill and it's hard. So, and that's why I literally, last week, like last Monday, I was like, Emily, I've wanted to start the pod for so long. Let's just pick a day and do it. And like, I just want to embody that energy this year of like, let's just pick a day and do it. And whatever we get, just put it out because it is good enough. Mm-hmm.
So we'll do it. We'll do it, and it'll be what it is.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up.
Well, thank you for listening. Abby, do you have a wisdom to share today?
I think my wisdom to share today is be you and always never stop being you.
And I've always said that. Wow. God, that was honestly, and I'm serious right now. That's so real.
It's so fucking real.
I'm being genuine.
Yes.
Never stop being you, literally. Mm-hmm. So, If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do that. It's not pod specific, it's band specific, but you know, we are who we are. Thank you, Kesha. Instagram, Emily the Band. Oh, we're on Blue Sky, y'all. I got us on Blue Ski.
Nice.
So Blue Ski, Emily the Band. It's just whatever. If TikTok gets banned, that's unfortunate, but we're Emily the Band official on there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see ya in a little bit, and it'll be us and Abbey telling you about 2024 Wrapped.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening
to the pilot
guys.
of this pod.
Pod pilot.
Bye.
Oh, we should probably give them a kiss. If it's the end of the date, should we give them a kiss on the first date? I think so.
I think we kiss on the first date.
All right.
Have a great day.
Have a good day. Make good choices.
Love you. You are loved.
You are
Bye.
yost. Oh, my mouse is over here.
And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap.